I'm here with Professor Emeritus Paul Axelrod, formerly the Dean of the Faculty of Education at York University. The book is called The Promise of Schooling, Education in Canada, 1800 to 1914, published by University of Toronto Press in 1997. Paul, you wrote this book in 1997. The atrocities that occurred in residential schools are fully documented. What archives were the most significant to help uncover these facts?
The book was based actually on archive research done by other historians. It's one of those books that pulls together, sort of synthesizes work that's been done. That was one of the goals of the series that U of T Press published this book in. And so it's research by other historians such as J.R. Miller, Jane Barman, Brian Titley, and many others. The National Archives of Canada is one important source. Provincial archives where school records are kept are other places that such research begins. Church records as well, though those aren't always so easy to access, and oral histories with residential students, school students are an important source. So a whole variety of sources have been used to pull these stories together.
Your book is cited as a reference source in the Truth and Reconciliation Committee's 2012 report entitled "They Came for Our Children." Do you sometimes wonder why it took so long for Canada to recognize the wrongdoings of residential schools?
Well, it's a good question. You know, there actually was a fair degree of literature on this subject before the TRC, and they pulled that together, including some of the work of the people that I mentioned. I think beginning in the 80s, greater attention to child abuse grew in Canada and elsewhere, and the schools, residential schools, received attention in light of that. I think the activism, the political activism of people leading Aboriginal communities, talking about their own experiences and the tragedies that happened within those schools, also has received a good deal of attention since. I think, you know, human rights policies and issues, the Charter of Rights, I mean, all of this has brought attention to bear on issues of equity and colonialism and the treatment of Aboriginals. The recent finding of the unmarked graves of kids, many of whom were disappeared, and we did know about the disappearance of kids. It wasn't probed fully. I think this is just about the biggest scandal in Canadian history, and I'm not sure it's actually being treated that way even at this point. There's a good deal of cognitive dissonance on this, but when the media discovers these stories, they get told and awareness grows.
The book is called The Promise of Schooling, Education in Canada, 1800 to 1914, available on the Canadian Electronic Library. Paul, thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much.